Hello and welcome. I hope you're safe and well. In today's exciting episode, we take a look at my gold jackets. Some of these are really rather bling, in a good way.
It's perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect jacket.
Oh, I forgot that one was in the credits at the end there. Spoiler alert, that's the one you're going to see first. So here it is. It's a sequin jacket, actually. Most of the ones you'll see are tweeds, but... Oh, and I changed the last time you saw these jars, they had pink beads in them. I took out the pink beads and put some gold ones in, so we're very on theme. And this one here, I actually made it a year ago. At the very start of this year, for each month I had like a theme, and in January the theme was the movie Desperately Seeking Susan, and she steals these Egyptian earrings. They are so bling, and I wanted to make a jacket. Well, I made one jacket which was inspired by the jacket that she wears in the movie, but then this one is inspired by the earrings, and I don't have my ears pierced, so I was like, I'm just going to make a really bling jacket that's as bling as those earrings. And so yeah, it's got these massive beads that are gem-like. The larger ones are plastic, obviously. If they weren't plastic, they would be far too heavy. And the smaller ones are glass though. So yeah, and there's these in the 1980s and 1990s, Chanel did these really bling jackets, and they were also my inspiration, and Yves Saint Laurent as well. But yeah, I just love these gem tones on gold. It's just so unrelentingly bling. But I do have some of these big ones left over, so I think I have enough to do a sort of small to medium sized triangle on the back, like a feature, because having a feature on the back just gives the jacket more weight and therefore more shape, and it sort of it just makes it look better on you, but also I get to use up more beads. So I think I will do that when I eventually remember where I find the box where I put the beads. I think I will do that. And that was one of the most recent ones I've done. So let's go back in time. And this is one of the first ones I've done. It's got a beaded trim. I used to wear this one to film school. So this is very old, this. And the fabric was from New York, and the beaded trim is very light because all the beads are plastic. Pretty much all the beads are plastic, and also it's quite slim. The fabric is golden, then it's got these blue and autumn tones in there, so that's why the beaded trim, the sequin base is blue, and then it's got the autumn tones over the top. And I really like it. It's very practical, this one. So if I had a bag full of heavy books and materials, then I could wear a lighter jacket. When I did the previous episode where I pulled apart, carefully took off the beaded trim, pulled it apart and put all the beads back in separate bags, and I'm going to use them on other jackets. Someone commented that there were way too many beads and the jacket would have been too heavy. I'm not making clothes and forcing other people to wear them. They're just my clothes that I make for myself. And the more expensive the clothes, the more structure there is and more work there is inside of them. So expensive clothes are often not as light as very cheap fast fashion. So I don't have a problem wearing them, but when you're making your own clothes, you can make exactly what you want. If you want something incredibly lightweight because you have mobility issues, you can absolutely do that. And this Italian silk it's so buttery. Italian silk is the best. Not only because it's light and it just flutters if you pick up a bit and just drop it, it just flutters down. It's so beautiful. But also the colours are amazing. I made this tweed jacket in the middle of this year, and I was going to bead it with pinks and yellows because those colours are in there. But it also has this tanny brown in there, and I just think the pink and yellow might be trying to force it to be something it's not. And I think if I used gold on there, I think it would be much better. So yeah, I've decided I'm going to use gold beads on that one. And then next up we have, this is a faux leather, and with faux leather, they basically have a mesh backing and then they spray this whatever it is on that makes it look like leather. This is me trying to show you how bulky it is. I'll turn it on its side in a little bit. Okay, there we go. See, it's relatively quite bulky, and then once they've sprayed that on, they spray the color on top of it. And this is my other faux leather, which I turned into the Yaa Jacket, and it's much thinner. So this one, I don't know, I think I might have to do a beaded trim, just because it will mean less stitches into the actual leather. But I don't know, stitching on beaded trim is technically one of the most demanding parts of making jackets. So I don't know, maybe I'll just bead directly into it, like embellish it. I'm not sure. It's so thick, it's going to be really difficult to work on. This one I made in November, so it's really recent. Love the fabric, but this, so the design is actually woven in, it's not printed on, and that's how you get the magnificent texture, and it's just beautiful. At night it looks like antique golden black, and then during the day you can see the purples and the creams. It's much yeah, I'm not sure what color beads I'm going to use on this one. I thought I would use gold, but I don't know. I think I'll use sort of glass purple beads, and that way during the day you'll be able to see the purple when you can see the purple in the jacket, and then at night they'll sort of look black, and it will go with the antique gold and black that this looks like at night. Like when you get further away, it just sort of looks gold and black. That's what it looks more so. It looks like that at night too. And the sleeves are short because it was a narrow piece. The brocades are narrower than normal other fabrics, so I didn't have enough to do the big normal Chanel style jacket. This one is another one of my sequin jackets, and it's a pale gold. The silk lining is a burnt orange, which is why the trim I decided to go with gold, and there's some bridal flowers in there just because I bought them at a sale, and then there's some pink and orange because a couple of the jackets I made at that time, there was this really cute pink one that had orange and flecks of red in there, so I really liked that one. I was like, oh, I'm not ready to give that up, so there are a few of those beads in here as well. And I really like it. I think when you first look at it, it might seem a little bit extra, but people get accustomed to it. I think, yeah, nothing is as strong and as over the top as well, I don't have an over the top personality. I do have a strong one, I suppose. I'm on this channel, I'm always asked if people comment about my clothes when I'm, talk to me about my jackets. No, in real life, no one ever talks to me about my clothes. They don't notice them. I think people care about what influencers are wearing and where you can buy things that they saw an influencer wearing, but they don't really care about unique clothes, and I like that. I like wearing what I like because I like it. Oh, this is a Linton tweed, and I've only seen a couple of tweeds like this, but it's got this, in this one here, there's this teal coloured shredded cellophane, and there's also the same yarn in this one. It's such a unique yarn, and it's used in two of my tweeds in completely different ways, and it's magnificent. And then I was going to do a beaded trim with this one that was going to be green and navy blue beads on a black base, but then I just got this idea of using my vintage gold sequins, and I could not get it out of my head, and I love this jacket. It is so, I don't know, there's something really impractical about it, and the way that it's got 3/4 sleeves with and the sleeves match the the bottom of the jacket, that's not the most flattering thing. It sort of emphasizes your hips and the broadest part of your body, so that's not a good thing. But the rest, the actual jacket, oh my gosh, I absolutely love it. It's a magnificent tweed, and the gold on top, it's just kind of reminds me of a pineapple, because you know the green bits on the pineapple, and this is the reverse colors of a pineapple. So yeah, I love it. It's so ridiculously impractical. And there's these butterflies that I've put on bugle beads, so they sort of sit out above the rest of the gold, and they look like they're flying around it. So much fun. I love it. Next we have the Dragonfly Jacket, and I added this one in. I would put this in my olive and khaki jackets personally, but it's called the Dragonfly Jacket because this is the only jacket with gold dragonfly beads. I only had like a handful of these, and I used them all on this jacket. This bead mix was so much fun to make. I just got out all the beads that could possibly match this, so red and teal and brown and gold and green, and like none of them matched, but all of them were like just the most beautiful beads that I've been collecting over the years, and I cherry picked ones out. There's also these really weird bronze fish shaped ones. They look like dead fish. And I don't know, it's just, it should not make sense, but it does. I just love this jacket. There's so much work in it, and the actual tweed is like strips of silk organza woven together. And yeah, so it was a really delicate tweed, so it was really difficult to make the jacket. But then as a reward, I got to do all this amazing beading into it, and I'm just really, really proud of this jacket. It's about a year old now. And amazing. I think I'm going to do a triangle on the back of it because it would be fun to work on it again. So yeah, absolutely beautiful. Really, really love that one. Next up we have, this is an old one, and this beaded trim is actually quite bling. At the time, because this is such an old jacket, this beaded trim was so much bigger and heavier than any other trim that I'd done, but it's really practical. I've worn this jacket a lot. You can't really tell just by looking at it. Oh, this is me showing you the tweed. It's got this yarn in it. It's white and it's got pom-poms in it. It must have been an absolute nightmare to weave this one because each of the yarns in it are different strengths and different textures and different widths, and I love a complex tweed. And this one is it's just a really pretty jacket, but it's also beautiful. You hardly ever see something that's pretty and beautiful. And this is me showing you the silk lining. It's Roberta Cavalli, that's a designer, and it's just so pretty. Love Italian silk. And yeah, as I said, this beaded trim is amazing. The tweed is amazing. Love the silk, the Italian silk I used for the lining. Love everything about this jacket, and it's aging really, really well, in my opinion. If you're about to make your own jacket and you can't decide whether you want to bead directly into your jacket to make it look like a beaded trim, or you want to do an actual beaded trim and stitch that on, I would say if you want the jacket to last a really long time, make a separate beaded trim and then hand stitch that on, because beaded trim, the weight is very, very evenly distributed over the whole jacket, and you sort of just lay it on top of the jacket and stitch it into it. And it's just really well supported. Whereas when you're beading into a jacket, embellishing it, you're just putting individual beads in. And if you've done beading a lot, then you know how to do that in a balanced way. But if you're doing it for the first time, I think it would be very difficult to get it balanced. So yeah, I would do a separate beaded trim, then stitch that on personally. And this one, speaking of excessive embellishment, I'd done the daisy jacket, which I loved. I just loved the way the daisy one turned out. So I was like, I want to do that again. So I had this satin fabric. It has golden coloured fish, golden goldfish in it, woven into the fabric. And I was originally going to bead around them, but it didn't work out that way. So I was like, right, I'm just going to cover the whole thing. And then when I covered it, I was like, actually, it kind of looks like a pineapple. So then I have these beads that are the shape of pineapple, and I hung them down on the back bit. And yeah, it's just, I feel like it was one of those meant to be ones, because it didn't start out this way, but I was like, oh, I could do this. And yeah, I'm just so happy with the way that it turned out. It's such a unique, it's like sometimes when you make something, like now that it's made, it's so obvious that it always should have been the pineapple jacket. And it should have had little pineapple beads on the back strung on these tiny little strings of seed beads. It's so obvious that that's, what it's meant to be. But when I started, I was like, this is going to be the goldfish jacket. And I really loved the way that it turned out. So yeah, it is the pineapple jacket. And then next we have, I can't remember what I filmed next. There are a lot of gold jackets. Over the past couple of days, I would remember another jacket and I'd be like, oh, I've got to get that one out too. I've got to get that one out too. And I ended up with so many gold jackets. This one, not gold. I was actually going to bead it with teal, but I don't know, it's because it's dinosaurs and it's a little bit childish. I don't want it to look like a toy mat that's been, I don't know, I don't want it to look cheap or, yeah, so I'm going to put bling gold beads on it to make it, yeah, I think. Because the bits that I like least about it are the whiter sections. And I think if I put bling gold beads just on those areas there, then it's going to look amazing and I will wear it a lot more. So yeah, I'll save the teal beads for something else. And next up we have, oh my gosh, I love this jacket, the Yaa Jacket. So it's an olivey antique gold leather, a faux leather jacket, and it's much thinner than the other sort of brighter gold one that I showed you earlier. And so because this is thinner, it's much more rubbery, and that was a concern beading into it, because if you bead too much into it, the fabric will just stretch to take more beads. So it was technically quite challenging. And and the design is based on something, and yeah, it's much more, it's got more design elements than any other jacket that I've ever done. Normally I'm just like, I'll throw some beads together, this will be my bead mix, and I'll just bead everything all over it, one bead per inch or whatever it is. But this one has very specific design elements in very specific points all around the jacket. And so I was concerned that it wouldn't look good, but also that I wouldn't do the design justice. But I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. So relieved too, but happy. So yeah, and I got to use up loads of beads, but mostly I'm just really happy with the design. I love this emerald green. Every time I look at this bit, I'm like, oh, I need to make a whole jacket that's emerald green. Because green is my favorite color, and that particular emerald green, I don't know, it's just so beautiful. It reminds me of the main character in Hunchback of Notre Dame, Esmeralda. She has this like necklace with a massive green beading on it. It's, yeah, I would love to have a whole jacket that's like shiny sequins and beads in that really intense emerald green. That would be amazing. Anyway, next we have the Egyptian tweed. The actual tweed was pretty amazing, but I was like, Yeah, I could just have the tweed or I could make it ridiculously bling. So that's what I did. Every second one is a sequin stack and then the other ones are beads, but it wasn't really heavy enough because sequins are quite light. So at the bottom of the hem of the torso and the cuffs of the sleeves, I also added some extra gold beads and it is so ridiculously bling. I love this and it took forever. I made it a year ago, so I made the actual jacket in December, started beading it, and whenever I had a spare hour or so I would do a bit more beading, and it was eventually finished by January. And January, like a year ago, was that month was jackets inspired by the movie Desperately Seeking Susan. So in that movie, she's got an Egyptian jacket. It's got like a pyramid on the back. And I had this Egyptian tweed and I was like, yeah, no, I'll do this. But now I want to do an inverted triangle on the back of this one as well. I just haven't got around to it because to pin it out, you sort of have to put pins in the fabric, and which is quite difficult because it's already beaded, but I will do it. I am determined. Yeah, it'll just add an extra little blingness to it, and I kind of like the idea of going back and working on jackets that I've really enjoyed working on. And this one is the cactus flower jacket. I actually forgot that this one was gold. So I just put this before I started filming it. I was like, yeah, you actually have to add the cactus flower jacket because that is gold. So it's actually a gold, the jacket itself was a gold Marc Jacobs tweed that I bought in New York City ages ago, like before the pandemic. And yeah, and I was going to bead it. Here we go. I'm trying to show you the actual tweed. It's not working, but yeah. And I was going to bead it with gold beads, and that would have been amazing. But then I just got this idea in my head of, because I was working on a jacket that looked like a cactus, a prickly pear cactus. And then I was like, oh, I could do a flower one. And so then that's how that jacket happened. And then this year so far, I haven't done a gingerbread jacket, but 2 years ago, this was my gingerbread jacket. It's this really rough jute or Hessian fabric, and it's got these designs painted on it. So it's like an outdoor fabric, or the kind of fabric you use to wrap up the pot that your Christmas tree is in. But I just turned it into a jacket and then I beaded it. And then this is last year's gingerbread jacket. I started out with it. It was just a really lovely tweed from Linton Tweeds. And then I was like, I'll just do one bead per thing. And yeah, I got totally carried away with the beading. And it's sort of champagne coloured beads, white, gold, and some like burnt sugar coloured beads as well, caramel. And it was just so much fun to do that. But again, the beading took forever to do, but so much fun. I love making the bead mixes, and you just get to pick out. I mean, this is why my bead collection is an absolute mess, because, and this is me showing you them side by side, but I'm doing that ABBA thing, you know, where they sort of turn to each other and sing. So anyway, yeah, so they're just two amazing and impractical jackets. This one is just ridiculously impractical. Those sleeves are just so ridiculous. So that one's not very practical, but this one is. It's completely wearable. This is me showing you on the back. It's got puppy dogs. Like, I wanted cats, you know, the Sphinx on the, because these beads were originally for an Egyptian bead mix, and I ended up using them on this though. So then I had to find other beads for my Egyptian jacket. But yeah, I wanted sphinx beads, and I wanted them on either side, like on the shoulder blades facing outwards, but I only had dog beads, so that's why there's puppy dogs on the back of this jacket. It's a little bit random. I suppose I should have kept them and used them on the Egyptian tweed, but I didn't. Anyway, so that's those two jackets, and I think that's it. And I'm not sure that I'm actually going to get around to a gingerbread jacket this year. Maybe I'll make it in January instead. But there you go. That was a look at the gold jackets in my jacket collection. Oh, this is me showing you the bugle beads. So yeah, I just got really carried away with this beading. I really like three-dimensional beading. It's so much fun. It's like drawing with, yeah. And this bead mix, yeah, as I said, this was so much fun. There's some real gems in here. This big round crystal cut glass bead, and those ones look like brass buttons. It's just some amazing, amazing beads in there. I really enjoyed working on that one. So that is it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed taking a look at my these ones are probably my most over beaded jackets, but they're just a lot of work, but so much fun to work on. Definitely worth the time and effort. And yeah, some of these I do think I'll put triangles on the back just so that I get another chance to work on them again, because they're just so pretty. And there's so much detail stitched into every single jacket. I love it. Oh, and the butterflies floating above the vintage silver sequins on this one. Hilarious. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and happy sewing.